All right, are we live? Let's see here. Let me know if you can see or hear me. Audio and video. Thank you, Lenina. Excellent. Very quick on the draw there. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to St. George, Utah. It is our last stream from here at this emergency in the southwest corner of Utah. And we're doing an extra early stream before I hit the road and go back home to California today. So, I'm glad you're here. If anybody's here for the very first time, allow me to introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and I do science outreach full-time. Believe it or not, this is how I make my living as a paleontologist, by sharing my science with all of you. This is how I fund my research and my fieldwork and my travels. And I'm so glad you're along for the ride today. This is a super important project, and I'm really excited to share it with you. We've been here for almost a week now, trying to raise awareness about this site, trying to get people to support us in any way that they can, whether it's by volunteering, and you're going to see a few members of Paleontologizing chat here live in person today helping us out, or whether it's by donating or just by helping get the word out on social media and stuff like that. This is an emergency fossil dig because this incredibly important fossil site here is slated to be destroyed in just a few short weeks. We've got until the end of the month, we're told, to excavate fossils and from before the city of bulldozes the site. We're going to be finding more today too. Hopefully some of them live on camera. So let's go check it out. And let's see who's here in the chat. Hello, everybody. Something cut out? What's going on here? Hang tight, everyone. What do we mean? What's going on? Live broadcast here. You're good now. Oh, okay. Thank you. Again, I don't have any end going through except by what people are saying in chat, basically. So try not to freak me out like that, please. Anywho, yeah. We're broadcasting live via satellite, so sometimes things hiccup, you know? It's Starlink. It's not going to be perfect. But yeah. Yeah, only lasted for 10 seconds. Okay, good. Right at the beginning of stream, if stuff's going wrong, then, yeah, just need to make sure that it's not continuing to go wrong. But yeah, Suave Oreo, that's really good to hear. That's why I'm doing this, you know, part of the reason. Anywho, yeah. And I spoke to the deputy director of the Department of Interior, and they're going to be looking into the city. Okay, Moxie Drinker. That only makes me a little bit nervous. But okay, yeah. And it said everything was going to be bulldozed, right, says Peter Steves? That's what we've been told, yeah. There's still a chance that the city could change their mind. They could find a different site to build the power substation. We're really hoping for that. We're working as quickly as we can here. We're praying for a stay of execution, but right now we're operating under the assumption that, yeah, this is all going to be bulldozed. We're doing whatever we can while we can. And, yeah. Good to have you here, everybody. What's really cool is I think we've got some call attention to this as well, which is really neat. We might be able to get a chance to talk to them. We'll have to see. Yeah. And again, the reason I'm so early today is I got to hit the road in a little bit. Going to be driving back to California today, and can't stay too late. I've already got the tent all packed up, and yeah. So yeah, this is basically before I skip I want to make sure we get in one last stream, even if it is outside of our normal schedule, you know? And Yenzoku says, was this a dig site originally? It was, yeah. So here, let me give you a little bit more jumping the gun here. Right across the street over there is the St. George Dinosaur Discovery Site Museum. If you weren't able to catch my stream from there a few weeks ago, Andrew Milner, the curator, gave us a red carpet tour, behind the scenes, VIP, all that stuff. Got to go back into the collections, into the prep lab, and then actually step off of the walkways and onto the track level itself. It was awesome. That museum is basically a shell built over an extension of this fossil site here. So there are thousands of footprints there under that roof that are in the same place that they've been for 200 million years. Footprints of dinosaurs, footprints of crocodile relatives, footprints and tracks of invertebrates. There's burrows from little burrowing buggy guys. There's traces from plants. There's ripple marks. There's all of these wonderful indicators of what these critters were doing 200 million years ago when this was a massive, shallow, inland lake. Let's tell you what we call Lake Whitmore. So this is what we call a paleo map. I think Ron Blakey put this together. He's really the man when it comes to like North American paleo maps. But we've got the outlines of our modern US states superimposed over the top of it. So this hopefully gives you a sense of scale. Lake Whitmore right here was enormous. This is like a state-sized lake, almost on the same level as like the Great Lakes today. Think about Lake Erie, Lake Superior, Lake Michigan. This is what we're talking about here. So huge lake, relatively shallow, and all kinds of different critters were living here. We've got our most common critter that we've been finding, these semi-anodid fishes. This is really cool because these guys, one of the things that people think is interesting about them is they've got these armored scales, a lot like modern gar, if you're familiar with like alligator gar. They've got these bony scales covered with kind of a ganoine enamel over the top. So it's almost like chainmail, or maybe scale armor would be a better analogy. So these guys are all over the place, and we'll see a bunch of these today. They can be particularly pretty if the scales are well preserved, so I'll show you those. We've got a few tantalizing coelacanths, these amazing lobe-finned fishes. These are the biggest fishes that we know about that lived in this lake. They're one of my very favorite modern fishes. They are incredibly cool, and there's a really cool story about coelacanths. They're really well known as fossils, you know, quintessential fossil fish, and everyone presumed that they'd gone extinct at the end of the age of dinosaurs, because that's when they kind of disappear from the fossil record. Till 1938, a living one was caught in South Africa. Latimeria chelumnae is what it was named after its discoverer, Marjorie Courtney Latimer. And yeah, now we also know there's another population that lives off of Indonesia. Incredibly cool fishes. It's a super cool story if you get a chance to look it up. We do a special stream about that every year on this channel. Call it Fishmas, on the anniversary of Latimer's discovery, or rather rediscovery, scientific discovery of the. But these guys go all the way back to the Triassic. They actually go way back to the Devonian period, but they were during the Mesozoic, far more than today at least. And we've got fossils of them here too. We've also got lungfish. This one's called Ceratodus, and we've got some tantalizing pieces of these guys as well from here. These guys are very closely related to modern land-living vertebrates, what we call tetrapods. That's the mammals. They're all tetrapods, and they all evolved from a fish that would have looked something like. So this fish is actually more closely related to you and me than it is to a salmon or a goldfish or a tuna or something like that. These guys are very close to the origin of tetrapods, and we've got them all over the place here too. Little bits and pieces that tell us that these fishes were around doing their thing 200 million years ago. And we've got hybodont sharks too. If we're lucky today, we might see some teeth and some spines of these cool freshwater sharks. They're pretty charismatic critters. And then of course we've got the dinosaurs. We don't have any dinosaur skeletons from here yet, but we do have, again, tantalizing bits and pieces. We've got teeth, we've got a few bones, some vertebrae, and then we've got tons and tons of footprints and what we call swim tracks. So as these dinosaurs are walking around the muddy banks of this lake, they're leaving their footprints, and sometimes they're going for a swim there, and occasionally those trackways go from the land into the water, and we can see that transition take place. They go from, stepping in mud to swimming, and as they get buoyed up by the water, those footprints turn into scratch marks on the muddy bottom of the lake, what we call swim tracks, and I'll show you some of those in a bit too. Really, really neat stuff. It's pretty special to have what we call body fossils and trace fossils in the same place. So we have the actual bones and teeth and body parts, body fossils, and we also have traces that they were leaving on this environment, that what they were doing while they were alive. It's fairly rare to have those things in the same sequence, in the same rock beds, but we have that here. That's one of the reasons why this site is so special. Another one of the key reasons why it's so special is that this records a really important time in Earth history. This is just after the extinction, big extinction event at the end of the Triassic period, and this is from the very beginning of the Jurassic. So about maybe half of species on Earth had died out just before this, and now lots of different groups are starting to diversify again. New species are evolving, so to speak. And this is when dinosaurs are released. It's a really important time in Earth history. It's recorded here. This is one of the best sites in the world for learning about that recovery at the beginning of the Jurassic period. So there you go. There's a really short intro to why this stuff is so important. I hope. Got any questions? And Science Streams, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. Congrats on the new baby. Holy cow. I hope it's okay that we talked about that a little bit yesterday. I got your text live on stream, but let's get some. And baby Alona is not going to be baby Alona anymore. She's going to be big sister Alona. She's got a baby brother now. That's incredibly exciting. Very, very cool. Yeah. Pretty awesome. Yenzoku wants to know, do you travel in other countries to teach paleontology? Not yet, but I'd love to start. Yeah, we'll see. Let's go have a look around here. Yeah. So here we go. We've got some new people here in the quarry today. I'll try not to frighten anybody too badly. But let's go have a look around. So here, just to kind of orient you, we've got several different layers here in the quarry. This one down here, this kind of bluish-greenish layer, looks more bluish in this light. This is what we call the fish bed. So we've got lots and lots and lots of different fishes that are all emerging from here. Sometimes they don't look like much when we first find them, but they, well, yeah. You'll see. With a little bit of prep work, just a little bit of cleaning away that matrix, the rock on top, you can start to see some of the scales, and then suddenly you go, whoa, that's a fish. Mostly are semi-anodid fish, like we were talking about. Let me get that at the ready. There we go. Semi-anodids like this, but we've got less common ones too, like those sharks, like those coelacanths, like those lungfish. But the lion's share of them are semi-anodids. They seem to be the most common fish around here. Probably by virtue of them being kind of generalists. So they're just kind of swimming around, eating whatever. And the other fish are probably a little bit more specialized in their diet and their ecology. Yeah. Let's see if we've got a particularly nice fish that we can get on camera there so I can show everybody. These right, the plaster jacket that's been flipped yesterday, and there's a fish in there. At least 3 new species of semi-anodid here, probably more. We won't know until they get cleaned up in the lab, but it's It's exciting stuff. These are species new to science. Nobody's ever found these before. So it's this is cutting edge stuff. Like, this is important work that we're doing. So yeah, anyway, that's the fish layer down here. And then up above, we're kind of moving up from the lake bed and up in time. And we're getting into slightly more terrestrial sediments. Seasonally dry for much of the year. Still kind of saturated for a good, yeah, like up into the lake banks. Maybe the lake is shrinking a little bit. Maybe it's just migrating in a different direction. But we're getting more terrestrial kind of sediments up top. These are these reddish layers up there. And up there we've got our bits of dinosaur. We've got dinosaur teeth, dinosaur vertebrae, a few intriguing bones that might be from dinosaurs too. And none of these dinosaurs have been named yet. These are definitely new to science, which is really exciting. Those would be dinosaurs kind of like, well, like these guys, these coelophysoids like that. This is a representation of like Megapnosaurus. We don't know if this is exactly what these guys looked like. It's probably not. But this is our best guess so far, based on close relatives that lived in other parts of the world. And then we've got our big track maker here too. What we presume the maker of these Eubrontes tracks, the large, so a largish theropod dinosaur. Not the sort of critter you'd want to run into in a dark alley, but maybe kind of similar to Dilophosaurus. You know, Dilophosaurus is 10 million years younger than these. But that's our best model for what this animal would be like so far, based on the information we have. Does that make sense? So again, we've got vertebrae and teeth from these guys. It's yeah, but it's rare. Those upper layers are much more sparse, but we've got a lot of people working up there because, man, if we could find more dinosaur material, awesome. If we could find a maxilla, one of the tooth-bearing bones from the upper jaw, we might be able to name that thing finally, which would be really, really cool. Yeah. Anywho, good stuff. And Kodiak says, is this Texas? No, this is Utah. Southwest Utah. We're kind of on the margins of the Mojave Desert here. Here, let's go check in with Andrew real quick. Hopefully he's got a spare minute. We'll go talk to the boss man. And, yeah. There we go. Andrew in just a second here.
I do have Dana's business card, but
okay, and this is mine, and then Jaleesa, who isn't here today. Okay. And I don't know where yours is.
Maybe we can talk to this guy. Let's see. Were you shooting a video earlier?
Yes.
Very cool. I'm doing a live stream right now. Is it okay if I get you on camera?
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Can we do a shout out for you? People can follow.
For sure. Yeah. It's the King of Random.
King of Random. Okay.
Yep, YouTube
nice.
channel. And we're just doing a quick shoot. Wanted to show some of the stuff, just like you.
Very cool. Really appreciate that. So I've got a Twitch channel called Paleontologizing.
Wonderful.
I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, so
That's cool.
Go around and stream fieldwork during the summers. You know, when I'm back home in the office in the off season, I'm going over new scientific papers, just trying to show people what paleontology is like.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, yeah. Check out the King of Random. We're gonna do a video on this, and
we'll watch it on stream when it comes out.
We'd love to.
Yeah. Thank you so much for helping out here. We're trying to spread the word about this as much as we can. It's really appreciate
to do it, and I'd love to see if we can get a petition signed or something. Like, how do we build that? I can build websites. Maybe we do something. So,
yeah.
Can I give you my contact information?
Absolutely. Yeah. Can I give you my card?
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have my number on there, but
okay, I'll get on there.
Yeah. It's just paleontologizing@gmail.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Do a
Thanks so much.
one there.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. It's that warms my heart. You know, any kind of support that we can get here is. It's good. It's a good thing. So we'll keep an eye out for that video there. And thank you, Claire, for posting the link in the chat. And followers, holy cow, that is impressive. Holy moly, yeah. Phenomenal. Yeah, good stuff.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for your time.
That one is too big, so I'm gonna get a smaller one. I found more.
Wow.
Down there.
Ah, that makes me smile. Again, it's that kind of coverage that we really need here. And yeah. Fantastic.
Slightly larger
Um,
and a couple of brushes.
and thank you, Ms. Art Rules. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Screwdriver to pry up rock.
Let's see. Wow, awesome, Andrew. Shoot. Somebody in chat was saying they've got 12 million followers.
What?
Yeah. On YouTube.
Oh, those guys?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Not kidding. Yeah. This could be a big deal.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knew?
You've been so busy, you hadn't had a chance to look them up or anything. But yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Hopefully that turns into something really good.
I just heard yesterday that they were coming today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I got to speak with them a lot more about more.
Nice.
They didn't really seem like they were just kind of winging it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're doing stuff like that that's really recent and topical, usually you don't have a lot of time to prepare.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. And they're probably going to go home and edit this as soon as they can and get it out there. And
That's what she said. They'd out on the 25th.
nice. All right. Yeah.
So pretty quick. I kind of like.
Yeah.
I got the guy aside and talked with him about more of the science behind it all.
Nice. Yeah.
Discovery and things
Uh-huh.
like that. So, and plans for the future.
It might pay to also send them some references, like even like some images that they can put on screen and stuff.
Right.
Because oftentimes when they're editing videos, they need B-roll, they need stuff they can cut to. So
Right. So they're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about heading over to the museum, and I told them
Oh,
where
nice.
to shoot some stuff.
Yeah.
But they may come back one day next week.
Cool.
And do a little more.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
That would be good. So they can get a little bit more better content.
Yeah. Very
Kind
cool.
of showing some of the fossils that are prepared from the site.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Man, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. They've got so much larger a following than I have. That's
Yeah,
Could be a
that's
big deal.
incredible.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Anyway, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, excellent. Yeah, really glad that also Andrew had a chance to go home last night, spend some time with the family, presumably take a shower and everything. I'm looking forward to doing that too. Andrew's been working so hard out here that the break that he gets is, yeah, that's worth its weight in gold. Yeah. And thank you, Science Streams. I appreciate you. Good stuff. And Floki Hex says you've been camping on site all the time, Danny? I have been, Floki Hex. Yes, indeed. In fact, I just took my tent down this morning. I would have started streaming a little bit earlier today, but I had to wait for it to dry out before I could roll it up and pack it into the car. But yeah, I got everything packed in the vehicle, and I'm ready to take off right after this stream. So, anyhow, yeah, I'm going to be journeying back to California today. And thank you, Science Streams. Appreciate you. Yeah, and Claire, thank you for your work there. Can we get some love for the moderators right now? Thank you for your work. Starman says, any news on the finds from the other day? Yeah, sure. We've got a bunch more of those fishes are now in the process of coming out of the ground. So we're working on extracting those. And we've got a few. That one that we discovered live on stream. I think Dustin was uncovering this. Like on camera right over here. Yeah. can we introduce you too?
Oh, yeah.
Halle Berry.
Hello.
So, yeah, she came up earlier today. Thank you again for flagging me down before we started the stream and everything.
I saw you and I was like, oh.
So Halle Berry has been coming over here on the weekends and out, and that's incredible. Obviously, she's here from the community, from Paleontologizing chat, and it's wild.
I know.
Meeting people IRL.
I know. The last time you were here, I actually was hoping that I would meet you, but you left the day before.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, well, maybe next time, because you said you were coming back. And look at us.
Yeah, here I am. Yeah. This will probably be the last time I'm out here before the project is done, but we'll see. But thank you so much for coming out and helping.
Thank you.
Yeah. You want to say hi to anybody?
I don't know anybody, but hey. I mean, Claire Burr, maybe.
Yeah.
She's always
Yeah. Claire's here right now. Yeah. So everybody, Halle Berry, awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for your help.
Of course.
So again, yeah, that was the fish that we discovered the other day live on stream. So hopefully we'll have. Yeah, thank you.
Like the fin and stuff yet?
Yeah.
I think you said that's might be like a big paddle fin.
Right there.
Like the skull is somewhere in here.
Exactly. And then there was a scale over here somewhere. We were trying to figure out what kind of fish this was. We found one of those telltale semi-anoded scales, so it's gonna be one of these guys. It looks like, but chances are it's a new species. Yeah,
That's a good one.
Yeah, a scale right there. Another one. And there was another one that was associated with the rest of this. So, anywho, this is how a lot of our fishes look when we first find them, chat. They just kind of look like a red splodge like that.
Yeah.
But we get them back to the laboratory, start chipping away the rock on top, and then the fishiness is revealed.
So cool.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Really exciting. And again, super high chance this is a brand new species.
Amazing.
So,
that is the fin. That is so cool.
Yeah,
It's a big paddly thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And we don't actually know how far it goes. It could extend further that way.
Yeah.
So,
That would be
yeah,
awesome.
exciting stuff.
Okay. More than that.
Yeah. And we'll show you some. I can kind of show you step by step how this works. There's another fish right here. This one, we've got some. Looks like got some glue still drying on it. Nice. But using the big rock saw over there, Andrew's been cutting these channels in here like this, rather than using hand tools to dig a trench around it. Since we've got so little time here, we've been using the rock saw a lot more. So this really speeds up the process. And yeah, so make some cuts like that, and then we can use the hand tools to more easily remove the rock, like we see here. So it's funny for me seeing a trench with such clean, clean sides, right angles like this, but that's how we're doing it here. Because we've got such a time crunch. So yeah, removing the rock like that, and then after that's done, we can do our top jacketing, like we see right over here. So
Where that is, but this would be.
yeah. So this is what we call a field jacket. So this is a protective plaster and burlap cocoon over the top of the fossil there. So this is from a few days ago. And yeah, after this step, you kind of dig underneath, and that way you can flip it over, like you see right here. And at this stage, we remove some more of this rock to make it a little bit more lightweight, easier to carry. It's smaller. If it needs to be stored for a while, it doesn't take up as much space. And then you put a top jacket over that, or rather a bottom jacket over it, and it's ready to transport back to the museum. So yeah.
So,
Yeah.
putting preservative on it first, just to keep it hard, and then the rock around it. It looks like we got a shark spine.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So coming right through.
Look at that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's got these strong ridges all along the side of it.
Well done.
So we're going to remove the rock above, start trenching around it. This one's worth doing a little jacket. I'm thinking we may use the angle grinder and make a little cut around it.
Okay.
And then put it in a little gypsona just so we get the whole thing out whole.
Yeah. Nice.
We've got one beauty at the museum and then a whole bunch of partials. So fingers crossed this one's complete.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's really
All
promising.
right. Awesome. Way
Nice
to go.
find. Yeah.
All right, let's get you some glue.
Very cool. So again,
once we put
this is one of those freshwater sharks like we were talking about. would look something like this. Now these freshwater sharks were a lot more common during the Mesozoic than they are today. I won't go into why, but that's kind of debated. But the point is, you had lots of freshwater sharks during the age of the dinosaurs. And so, this right here, right there, see that? That is a dorsal fin spine. So it's on the anterior end of the dorsal fin. So that's probably a defensive measure to keep them from getting eaten. Because these guys weren't particularly, maybe up to like a meter or something like that. This guy in particular would have been a lot, this individual would have been smaller. But yeah, really neat critters, Typodons. So this may be genus Lysotis, it could be new. We don't know yet. This could end up being the holotype of a brand new genus or species. It's important stuff. So that's why we're trying to save all this before it gets destroyed, you know? Critters that are brand new to science, potentially. Really neat. So maybe we got some glue, nice.
Hey, Connor.
Connor, here, can I, left-handed? Good to meet you, I'm Danny.
Danny?
Yeah. How long have you been working
Last weekend. And
Cool. Welcome back. Thank you for helping us out. Yeah, and finding good stuff.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
You work at the museum or somewhere else?
No, I'm a freelance paleontologist, but I do live streams full time.
Nice.
And yeah, I've been coming out here for, this is my second time coming out, usually for about a week at a time. And just trying to like gather attention, encourage people to volunteer and donate and all that good stuff.
What's the YouTube?
Twitch, actually, yeah. Twitch.tv/paleontologizing. Yeah, here, I'll give you a card, actually.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I actually remember to bring some today. Yeah.
Very nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
Yeah. So, yeah. Connor, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, Connor's got some glue here. This is Paraloid B72, I think. So it's an acetone-based plastic glue. So these little plastic beads, you dissolve them in acetone, and it works really well for fossils for a number of different reasons. One of them is that the acetone, being very, very thin, it dissolves the glue, and then the acetone, after you put the mixture onto the fossils, it soaks into it. The acetone evaporates away, and it leaves the plastic inside. So it's a consolidant glue. It's basically shoring it up from the inside out. That's one of the reasons why it's good for fossils. The other reason is that it's reversible. So if anybody who's ever worked in a museum or with archival materials, anything like that, you know, art curation or restoration, you know that anything that you're going to be doing to an important specimen or artifact, you want to be able to reverse it in the laboratory if you ever need to. And this kind of glue is reversible. So if you ever want to undo it, you just apply more acetone, it redissolves the plastic inside, and you're good to go. So, yeah, that's the reasoning behind using that particular kind of glue. Anyhow. And Diatom's Attack is here. How are you, Diatoms? Welcome. We have another paleontologist in the chat, but one who works on diatoms. Somebody who's used to much larger sample sizes than what we've got here. Sorry to disappoint you, diatoms. But yeah. Anyhow. Someone was commenting on how clear and blue the sky is today. Oh yeah. We're lucky. I'm glad it's so clear and dry today, because my tent was the other day, and you can't pack away a wet tent. Not a canvas one like I've got. It would have molded up and just ruined. You gotta wait for it to dry out before you can pack it up. So, very fortunate. I gotta hit the road later today, so I was lucky that it's nice and dry. Diatom jackets are cheaper to fabricate. There you go, Diatom's Attack, yeah. Anyhow. Let's, see. Maybe we'll check in with the Ostrom. So, chat, if any of you are Well, if you've been watching this channel for a good while, you know how often John Ostrom comes up in conversation. John Ostrom, really famous, passed away in 2005, but he's often called the father of the dinosaur renaissance. All of these ideas that, you know, dinosaurs were active, intelligent, dynamic animals, that they didn't actually go extinct, but they gave rise to modern birds. These were all ideas that John Ostrom advocated for, found evidence for, and helped change the way that we think about dinosaurs. John Ostrom also described Deinonychus, the velociraptor of Jurassic Park fame. That animal is actually Deinonychus, and John Ostrom's crew excavated that critter in 1965, I think. Published on it in 1969. Enormously influential. Deinonychus, this discovery helped change the way that we think about dinosaurs. So John Ostrom's legacy looms large in American dinosaur paleontology in particular, and we have not one but two of his nephews here in the quarry right now, which is kind of amazing. We've got Mark and we've got Matt.
Hi. Hello.
So Matt just showed up this morning.
Yep.
And yeah, it's wonderful to have you here. Holy cow.
I'm glad I got to make it because I almost didn't think I could because I missed my flight. And I was supposed to be here yesterday. And then I almost missed my flight again last night from my connecting flight from Denver to here. So I almost had to spend the night in Denver last night, but I made it here.
We're really glad you made it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And your first time digging fossils, right?
Yeah, my first time. Yeah,
Pretty
Mark's
cool.
Showing me what to do.
Showing them the
We've got a good
ropes, what
teacher
I
here.
know.
Yep, my twin brother.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
Super cool. Yeah. We were talking to Mark. Was it yesterday about your Uncle John and like memories that you've got? Do you have anything to share there?
Oh yeah. I guess yeah. My Uncle John, John Ostrom, famous paleontologist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got good times when we were kids. Like I remember back when we were in 5th grade, we were really into. It was like a whole dinosaur year. Everything was dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs Live. There was
Dinosaurs
Dinosaurs
Live,
Alive.
and we got to visit our Uncle John at the Yale Peabody Museum.
That's so cool. Yeah. Just
it was
having
cool.
that personal connection like that, being like, yeah, my uncle is the dinosaur guy.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That must have been really awesome. I'm sure your friends were really jealous too.
Oh yeah. Whenever we talk about John, definitely.
That's so cool. And now you're here. I mean, yeah. Well, like we said yesterday, your uncle would be proud.
Yeah.
This is also like stuff, and figuratively, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's a chance you're going to discover a new species of dinosaur here. I mean, that would be wild.
Yeah.
It's the exciting thing about fieldwork. Yeah.
I remember I have a box that Uncle John gave us with all these different types of rocks, like petrified wood and all these different rocks. And I remember him explaining all the different rocks and what they were. And I don't remember all of the names of everything now, but I remember him telling me all about those. And, yeah, pretty neat. And
That's
I have
super
that
cool.
at home. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's a cool keepsake and a cool memory. Like, holy cow. Yeah. Yeah. And so I also want to make it clear to everybody in chat, you guys you found out about this through Paleontologizing, right?
That's right. Yep.
Which is mind-blowing to me.
So
I mean,
my brother introduced me to Paleontologizing. He was just telling me how he found your channel.
I found it first I found you on Twitter.
Oh,
and then
okay.
you showed up on YouTube. And then I realized I saw the mask that the dinosaur skull.
Oh, the
picture.
Ceratosaurus. Yeah.
I saw that picture on Twitter. Yeah.
That was my Halloween costume a few years ago.
Halloween costume,
A goofy thing. That's really funny. Yeah. Awesome. And now you're here. You're doing the thing. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
Also, we got a comment on the shirt too. I've not gotten to yet, but we're gonna see if maybe we can interview the woman who's at right See if we can bring her on the stream at some point. I talked to her at SVP back in November. This is
Yeah, I picked that shirt up at the Chicago airport when I was on my flight over here and
Yeah.
got one for my brother.
Nice.
That's a great gift.
Yeah, we've been talking about going there sometime because they have a Deinonychus skeleton there, I think. So I want to hit all the different museums that have a Deinonychus.
Nice. And you know, your uncle worked on Archaeopteryx too.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
he
how
did.
he
He
discovered the
feathers.
connection between
Exactly,
birds
yeah.
and dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Showing the comparison, he saw the similarities between Deinonychus and Archaeopteryx, looking at the pubis bone, how it's backwards.
Yeah, the pubis
like
is backwards.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and that was his first clue in just looking at that, and then also comparing it to Compsognathus.
And
and there's the Ostromia, which was kind of like a
it was
side
previously
type.
considered to be an Archaeopteryx, and it was
Exactly,
renamed a different genus. Like, this thing's not Archaeopteryx; it's a little different, and it was named in his honor.
Yep, named in
So
his
yeah,
honor. That
yeah.
was really cool.
He also discovered a really important Archaeopteryx specimen in the museum. It had been mislabeled as a pterosaur.
To China to do the research on the bird
Yeah.
dinosaur.
That the Archaeopteryx was the what was it? That was in the Netherlands.
Oh, I forget the name of the specimen, but yeah, it was in a museum there. Solnhofen in Bavaria in Germany, but there's a few. The Berlin specimen is now in Berlin. The London specimen is in London, as you would expect.
It should be.
Yeah.
Found a location.
But you may have heard this story too. But who was it who was telling me last summer in the field? But they were there at the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology meeting, SVP. It's like a big conference for vertebrate paleontologists who study animals with bones, like dinosaurs and birds. But they were there in, I think, 1996. The meeting was being held in New York, and these researchers there, and they had photographs of the first dinosaur, and they were showing these photographs like in the hall outside the talks at the meeting. Don Ostrom was there, and he'd hypothesized that dinosaurs, theropods like that would have had feathers.
Right.
And it was still a really controversial idea at the time. And he got to see this, and there was like a looking at photo. He had tears in his.
So reading all those together, it's like a chronological history of all of those experiences. Talking to my dad, or sharing those experiences with my dad.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and
those
I
letters
shared
could
that
be in a
on my-
museum someday.
Yeah,
That's.
Oh yeah.
Oh really? They could be.
I could see that as a traveling exhibit. That could be awesome.
I share them on my YouTube channel.
We'll have to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get what's the name of the channel? We can put links in the chat.
It's called Marco Productions.
Marco Productions.
Yeah,
and I
Marco
think,
Productions.
don't I have your card actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see
So
here.
definitely it could.
I know, right? Yeah.
You guys are
What's
making
going
fun.
on here?
You're on YouTube.
Here we go. Marco Productions.
That's right. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah, check
Yeah.
that out. That's called John. So
The video.
yeah.
Well, check that out. We'll see if back to my office in a few days. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And then you had some books that you were working on.
Yeah.
You gave me a card right here.
Yeah, I got.
So you said
My
this is
cards.
coming out pretty soon, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully in 2 months.
Dominic the Deinonychus.
Yeah.
Written and illustrated
In
by
honor,
Matt Ostrom.
yeah, in honor to my uncle.
Very,
Uncle
very
John,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So this will be available in a few months, you said?
Yes.
We'll have to check it out.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's almost ready. Almost ready.
Nice.
Need to
Nice.
make some touches to it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for your time. We'll let you get back to digging. Find us something cool.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe a
I
jawbone.
found a tooth here. I don't know. We'll
Interesting.
see what
Let's
that
take a
is.
look.
It's orange in the middle.
Maybe.
Black circle around it. This is my first time, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Doesn't
how
look
to
like a tooth, but
identify
could
stuff.
be remnants of a scale or something.
Oh yeah.
Potentially. But keep looking. Yeah.
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 Thanks.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. Keep up the good work. Thanks for being here.
Great talking with you. See you.
Awesome. Anywho, yeah. They just got one more subscriber. Excellent. Thank you, Hogan. Yeah. Any new finds today at all? We're still kind of Still early here, but we've got, I think, potentially some new fish. Yeah. And let's see, is there an age limit to access SVP? You know, I've seen like high school and maybe middle school kids at SVP. I'm not sure. You should check out the website. vertpaleo.org is the official website for the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology. It's our big professional organization for vertebrate paleontologists. International organization. The meeting this year is going to be in Birmingham in the UK, and I'm saving up to be able to go, so I'll see some of you there. But yeah, anyhow. And they're saying their brother may be there. Oh, very cool, Scorch Hellfire. Very, very cool. Yeah. Good stuff. And thank you, 9 Kier. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Here, let me clamber up this hill real quick. And we'll do a quick little station break. Introduce the new folks. Welcome, everybody, to Paleontologizing, and welcome to this emergency fossil dig here, literally in the middle of St. George, Utah. So across the street is the St. George Dinosaur Discovery Site Museum that is built over an extension of these same fossil beds that are over here. So that museum is basically a shell built over these incredible fossil trackways of dinosaurs and crocodilomorphs and all kinds of other critters in there. Preserving those footprints in the same exact spot that they've been for 200 million years. This all represents an ancient lake. It was here in Utah and in northern Arizona at the very beginning of the Jurassic period, 200 million years ago. And so we're finding fossil fishes. We're finding a few choice pieces of dinosaur here. We're finding footprints and swim traces and just all kinds of bits of evidence that tell the story of what this environment was like 200 million years ago. This is incredibly scientifically important for a whole host of different reasons. And we're here trying to excavate whatever we can before this site gets bulldozed by the city in like a month or so. That's what we're told is going to happen, so we're working furiously to collect, salvage, save whatever we can before that happens. And we could really use your help. We've got a number of people here in the quarry who, well, shoot, they found out about this through these live streams, which I'm blown away by. I'm really touched by that. That this community has really come together. People are showing up here in person to help out. We've got people who are making donations, purchasing things off the Amazon wish list, and making donations to the project via the crowdfunding websites. It's been just tremendous. And I'm very proud of that. Of this community. Yeah, people pitching in to... It's made a real difference. It really has. But yeah. What are they planning on building over the top of this ancient burial ground? A follow-up question, do they know the premise of the movie Poltergeist? Oh, Diatoms. It'll be an electrical power station, an electrical substation here. If they could just move it, you know, from here to there, which is all cleared, you know, we wouldn't have anything to worry about. The site would be saved. But, you know, it's municipal bureaucracy, and honestly, I don't know the details, all the politics, all that stuff. I don't know the decision-making process, but yeah. Yeah. Let's see. And and Jim is here. Freshwater system. Yes, indeed. Paleo Jim. We've got the Utah State Paleontologist typing in from Salt Lake right now. How you doing, Jim? Or from the Salt Lake Valley. I hope you're at home right now, Jim. On a Saturday. But yeah. Deathsaurus says, sadly, the dinosaur section of Reddit was not supportive of this project. They locked the thread pleading for help and threatened to ban people for posting about the donations. It's Reddit. I don't know. Irredeemable. Anywho, yeah. No, curation, facility site, and parking? Oh, you mean that's what... So, I heard something different from Andrew, Jim. That they were going to turn this into a parking lot over here. Yeah, and potentially, anyhow, we'll get the details. But anyhow, yeah. But yeah. Here, and where did, not sure where Jeff went, but I wanted to check in with him. Talking about the lithology and stuff. But yeah. And not so simple, says Jim. Let's maybe get the details from Andrew real fast. Andrew, can we bug you for a second? Yeah. So we had some questions about the exact placement of like the electrical substation and a potential parking lot and like a curation facility and stuff. Mm-hmm. Can we just go over here for a second and take a look around and get the inside scoop? I was saying something and Jim is like, no, that's not right. So I want to make sure that we're...
Oh, is Jim on?
Yeah.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah, I hope you're having a good morning, Jim. It's good to see you. Yeah. So this is the area we've been using for parking over here so far, and there have been dump trucks moving back and forth, moving these dirt piles and everything.
Can you still have coverage?
Yeah,
here?
I do right here, yeah.
So, the substation, you can see one corner marker right there.
With the orange tape on it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The other one is just on the other side of that big pile. It got run over by the excavator, so it's down.
Okay.
And it's also just out of sight.
Uh-huh.
Right there is the other corner marker.
Okay.
And then the other one is that far dirt pile. It's behind that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean, this is huge.
That's like almost an acre, right?
Huge quarry, and you can see, look, we still have that whole other side, and we haven't even had a chance to touch it. It's still buried in this enormous rock pile that's producing lots of fossils.
Yeah, okay.
So yesterday out of the rock pile we got a partial fish, a kind of cool looking plant impression. We thought it was a track at first, but it looks like it's a plant impression. Yeah, there's been some neat fossils found. There's a few tracks. Yeah. And also this material here from the lower side, tracks.
The collection of footprints right there, yeah.
That stuff is, there's some really nice things.
Yeah.
Some very interesting looking footprints. They're doing different things.
Maybe we can take a look at some of those in a minute. Yeah. But, in your estimation, would it be... Would all our problems be solved if they just moved the power station to this flat area here that's already dug up?
Well, there's plans for the rest of this property. So this flat area here. So you can see the road over here. Yeah. That road, and on their original plans, they wanted to send it on to that. Okay. That might be abandoned in order to put a parking lot down in this lower area. Okay. Which would service the park and the future museum. So the future museum, if you look that direction, you can see the in-place hill. So that's where the museum would be. The main museum on this side of the road would go. Gotcha. And then the repository would be on this side of it. Okay. So there's 5.5 acres right there that have been put aside for the museum. And there's city property. Nice. So this is also city. So the plan is this whole area here, all around us, will be park. Okay. So like a public park for people to hang out. Yeah, they're talking like bicycle trails and stuff. Gotcha. So like mountain biking, that kind of thing. That sounds really neat.
That sounds like it's something to draw people to the area.
Exactly, and people want a park. They need it. There's none here, so it's good. So the plan is to kind of incorporate that with the museum property, so that's also park. And even access to the roof, so you can go on the roof. You put garden on the roof.
Oh, very cool.
You've got signage explaining all of the geologic features you see all around us.
Yeah.
So from the top of that roof, you can be able, from that hill, you can see Zion National Park.
Gotcha. Okay.
Towards the largest laccolith in North America, right there, the Pine Valley Mountains.
Nice.
And then, you can point out all of the rock formations. Warner Valley over there.
Yeah. Where we were camping last time, yeah.
King Cliffs from here, which is an active fault. And then, of course, Middleton Black Ridge, which is an inverted river valley. So the basalt lavas are more resistant to erosion. So they're inverted river valleys. I think that'd be kind of cool.
That would be really cool, yeah.
So that's kind of what we're thinking.
Okay.
The city's also talking about potentially in the future elevating the power lines.
Oh, that would be so, because it's a really busy road. I've had to run across there many times to try and get lunch at Taco Bell, and it's like playing a game of Frogger,
Yeah, right over here, the traffic light, Mall and Riverside Drive, is the busiest intersection in town.
Holy cow.
Because
it's right down there.
there's a bridge right here to get you from Washington Fields across the Virgin River.
Right.
So, yeah.
Nice. Okay. So it sounds like, on the one hand, the city does seem to be enthusiastic about maybe building a new museum facility here so that we can kind of expand that. And we're really grateful for that. Holy cow.
They really support it.
Yeah. So it almost seems like out of character to, destroy this to build a power substation, but at the same time, it does sound like they're kind of in a bind because they need to build it somewhere.
Yes, they do. They need more power here.
Yeah.
For sure. Like but they looked at other properties. But anyway, still waiting to hear.
Still waiting to hear.
We might get an extension.
Yeah, a stay of execution, as David was saying.
Yeah, which is kind of getting crazy because we're getting into it's gonna get hot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it gets really hot. This is an awesome day, actually.
It really
Perfect
is.
day for digging.
Not a cloud in the sky, and it's not too hot or anything. It's beautiful today.
And the quarry's packed with people.
Yeah, you love to see it.
So far, shark spine, which is awesome.
Yeah,
It
we
looks
got to
like
see
a
that
really
earlier.
good one. Hunter and I are just about ready to start working on it. It looks complete. Oh, it's going into that softer mud though, so we've got to be very, very careful. A larger jacket and just take it all the way down to the
Yeah. Nice.
I mean, if that's a complete shark spine, we need another one.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. That's better than the one in the museum, just imagine.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
What are the odds you think it could be a new taxon?
It's possible.
It's possible. Yeah. So it could be a brand new species potentially.
Because Jim, I think it was Jim. Yeah, Jim mentioned that there might be a second species of hybidon, kind of mixed in. Possible.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got over 70 teeth now. I think actually it's probably more than that.
Yeah. So decent sample size. Yeah.
And, while I was away on that trip in Denver, there were a whole bunch of them collected.
Nice.
And they've been coming in. I haven't been keeping track of the inventory recently, so I'm a little bit behind.
Gotcha.
Not being here and everything.
Yeah. Cool. Before I let you go, can we take a look at some of your favorite tracks and stuff over there real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
I'm actually going to start inventorying ones that we're definitely keeping.
Okay.
And then when I camp here again next week, I can come along with a light and make sure that I mark off all the other ones that we want to keep.
Did he say shark spine? Don't they have cartilage skeletons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the scales can be often very small. And of course the teeth and the male sharks, they've got a bony enamel coated spine on the sides of the head.
Oh, there it is.
Little devil horns.
Yeah, there we go.
Actually, just like that.
So
that's
the males
that's
have
a male.
those, right? Yeah.
And we know because hybidons have been found with in
The claspers, right?
preserved,
Yeah.
like complete in sites in Germany.
Like Solnhofen.
Of course, the sharks have the males have the claspers for grass, and we only see the cephalic spines on male hybidon sharks.
Nice. These kind of like
Females
Darth
don't
Maul
have them
horns
at all.
there. Yeah. So females no horns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you can see on the back dorsal fins. We think that's what was just found. So those are bone and enamel coating.
Gotcha. So instead of cartilage, it's actually bone with enamel
Yeah.
on top.
And then the rest of the fish is it's cartilage.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that on the second dorsal fin they've got a spine too.
They've got two. So
Yeah.
maybe this is a different spine from the same kind of shark.
Uh-huh.
Who knows? But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a pretty cool find.
Very cool.
So,
And so we think those spines are probably for defense against predators, right?
Yeah.
Because both sexes have them.
right.
And these are not, super fearsome sharks. Well, their teeth aren't like predatory teeth, right?
Yeah,
they're
they're tiny little teeth, and there's
Yeah.
hundreds of them in the mouth for crushing shells.
Gotcha.
Probably maybe eating these crayfish or crayfish-like animals.
Gotcha.
Swimming around in the lake.
So these sharks would have to be on the lookout to not get eaten by maybe like big lungfish or particularly coelacanths, I would imagine.
Coelacanth.
Yeah, these guys would be eating these sharks.
Or a dinosaur.
Or a dinosaur, yeah.
You can imagine one of those spines getting stuck in your mouth because towards the tip they've got these rear projected barbs.
Oh, shoot, like a
Yeah.
harpoon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, that would not be a good day.
Uh-huh.
And probably they could potentially lead to the end of your life.
Right,
Right?
okay. Yeah, if it gets you in the wrong spot, yeah.
And then these are pretty cool. The cephalic
Yeah,
spines.
although that...
We may have a couple from the quarry, but we're not entirely sure. I'm hoping we get a good, really nice one.
Right.
They've got to be in here.
Uh-huh.
So
Nice.
anyway, you want to look at some footprints?
Let's do it, yeah. Here, I'll show this image real quick first of our swimming coelophysoid here. Leaving those swim traces there. We're going to see some of those right now. So
Yeah.
these dinosaurs are hanging out in the shallows, kicking around, and presumably trying to eat these fishes, and both the bony fishes and the cartilaginous fishes, the sharks too.
So to start with,
Yeah.
this was collected from the rock pile. It's
Ooh,
got
yeah.
a little bit,
I remember this from
of
yesterday.
damage. So that's the right footprint. This is digit 4. There's 3. You can see the toe pads on the outside.
Yeah, so it's
here.
subtle. The lighting
There's
is
the
bad,
claw.
but we've got the heel right here.
And then there's the other.
I wonder if we can
digit
turn it so
2.
the light
this
is a little better.
Kind of like the heel in here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wrong way.
There we go. That helps.
Yeah.
Having these shadows along here, along that part of the toe pads.
So you can
heel.
digit 4 comes down to about here.
Oh, that's the.
So
Okay.
heel.
Yeah.
In quotes. Not really the true heel.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because it's not
So-
actually by the ankle.
That's a small coelophysoid dinosaur that produces that.
So like one of these guys.
Danny showed you the picture there.
Yeah.
That's
So-
swimming coelophysoid.
Growliter is what we would call this, right?
Yeah,
This guy? Yeah.
absolutely.
Nice.
Of a little funny.
Yeah.
This is not your typical word. I can tell the drawing in the background. That's from Lull,
Oh, okay.
one of the Lull papers.
Uh-huh.
The Growlator, yeah, that's not. It's a little weird.
I'm glad I asked. Yeah. If I come back, I want a better visual aid.
Well, you saw a whole bunch of them in the museum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let me see here. So there's some pretty neat things. Some of them are still very dirty. They look better after the rain, though. You can see that mark there, and this one. There might be another one in here. It's still covered in mud, but that looks like a pretty good swim track.
Nice.
So the digits coming down and striking the muddy bottom. You
Yeah.
can kind of see another one here.
Nice.
That might be a swim track. Here's an actual footprint.
Yeah.
You can see the toes sank in pretty deep, but we've lost this piece.
Okay.
It's broken off, but there looks to be a swim track associated with that too.
Uh-huh.
And again, more swimmy type traces. Another set here.
Nice.
All over the place.
Yeah.
This one's kind of cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
Look at the lengths of the digits, and they're almost they're pretty much parallel.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if this
Separate
and
track?
this is part of the track, but this is very different looking.
Uh-huh.
That arrangement. I'm almost thinking this and maybe that
Uh-huh.
is part of the same track. I don't think that's the theropod.
Oh.
Be overprinted by something else. It's kind of looking a little bit like something called Winton opus, which
Winton
comes
opus?
from the Winton Formation in the
In Australia?
early Cretaceous in Queensland, Australia.
Yeah.
A famous dinosaur track site
Uh-huh.
referred to as the dinosaur stampede.
Right.
But that's been challenged pretty strongly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been suggested that they're ornithischian swim tracks.
Ooh.
And they're very different.
Uh-huh.
And what's really cool around here, we're finding lots of sites with Winton opus-like footprints.
Interesting.
These could be the first ones from this site, but most of our other sites are in the overlying Cant Formation.
Right, okay.
And we find them associated with ornithischian teeth. And
Ornithischians
the tracks.
are plant-eating dinosaurs,
Yeah.
the bird-hipped dinosaurs that don't include birds.
We also find them associated with Anemoebas footprints.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it could be these different plant-eaters are hanging out
Yeah.
together.
So
Would this
like-
be our first like Winton opus type track from here?
It could be.
Wow.
I think we have a better one at the museum that I've already brought over.
Uh-huh.
This one is also super cool. Let's see if we can get better light on it. And that actually made it worse, didn't it?
Someone was asking if the opus is in reference to like opals that are found in Australia, and no, that means foot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Opus, so Winton foot. So what we're talking about here are ichnotaxa. So it's not a name for the animal, the shape of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we only make educated guesses on what kind of animals may have made the footprints.
Uh-huh.
Something very different. There's a digit 3.
Okay.
You can see the claw drag mark all the way to here.
Nice.
This one is kind of turned out more.
Uh-huh.
Right here. I'm not sure what this line is. Is
This
that
looks like a burrow or
associated with
something.
this one? But you can see that it seems to be thicker here.
Yeah.
And then it rotates this way.
Huh.
This one's doing something similar.
Uh-huh.
And then here is another digit.
Yeah.
So it's doing something a little bit different. So it's kind of like doing this with the foot.
Huh.
And kind of twisting it.
As it's swimming.
It's actually the left.
Okay.
And it's the left foot twisting. You just
Interesting.
gotta look at it upside down.
Yeah.
So, is that a theropod? Maybe, or is it something else?
Uh-huh.
There's other kinds of animals, crocodilomorphs, that are big enough they could produce
Yeah,
a
yeah.
track like that.
Uh-huh.
So, anyway, it's going to need some serious cleaning, and then a closer look, and definitely photogrammetry, which brings out so much more in the way of detail.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Holy
You're
cow.
welcome.
We were talking a little bit the other day about sometimes you get like weird morphologies, like it almost looks like the animal has an injured digit or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you have any particularly cool stories where or something?
Pink trackway.
Yeah.
We didn't know it at the time. And I showed you the Katy Bell track on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
and the footprints are about that big, so they're pretty
Yeah.
a very faint footprint on the right.
Uh-huh.
So it's making good deep left
Uh-huh.
and then with a shorter step. And also
Interesting.
a gauge trackway.
Uh-huh.
Which makes sense for an animal that's hurt. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna go like full on in a straight line with
Uh-huh.
like we see with the Grawlater trackways. This one's kind of wider gauge, so it's stepping out a little further, and it's leaving a very faint right footprint. And then it makes a longer step with the left
Uh-huh.
as it moves forward.
Very cool. Wow.
So long step with the left,
Uh-huh.
short step with the right, long step with the left.
That's so cool that we can tell that about an animal
Yeah.
200 million years after it died.
So
A glimpse into its life.
injured right limb.
Yeah. That's so cool.
We also have 3 unusual dinosaur tracks in the museum.
Uh-huh.
And they all look to be missing the end of digit 2.
Oh.
And there's also a funny mark we see in the footprint. Kind of close, so proximal to the to the limb. So it's possible the same dinosaur that left 3 footprints, and because they're all very similar. We need to look at that a little bit more closely. And again, with some photogrammetry, maybe we can figure it out. But it really does.
That'd be a really
look
cool
like
paper.
It lost a toe.
Yeah. Which is not wild when you think about. You go to a city and you see pigeons walking around, and in a rough neighborhood, some of them are missing toes and stuff like that, and they're limping, and these are from the same group of animals, theropods. Birds are living theropods, and we see similar things.
Hurt. And they leave footprints.
It's so cool. It just makes it all come alive, It's not just bones. This is a record of the animal while it was alive and kicking.
No dinosaur hospitals.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe some kind of big fish bit its toe off.
Could be, yeah. Or another dinosaur or something.
Dinosaur.
Or
who knows?
Yeah. Could be some sort of disease or something. Yeah.
Lots of cool stuff.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Andrew. Really appreciate taking the time.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Let's go take another look around, and then I'll probably be ending the broadcast within the hour. And we'll probably do a sign-off with you as just like a thank you to the viewers and everything in a little bit.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm going to go check out that shark spot.
All right. Nice. Again, for anybody just joining us, welcome to Paleontologizing. Welcome to St. George, Utah. If you feel like you're hearing traffic noise, you're not imagining things. There is one of the major roads in the town right behind us. We are smack dab in the middle of the town, and this is an emergency fossil dig that we're undertaking because this site is slated to be destroyed in maybe just a few weeks. The city of St. George is planning on building an electrical substation here, and we're trying to excavate whatever we can from this extraordinarily important fossil site before it's gone, before they pave paradise and put up a parking lot, so to speak. It's basically in the town. There you go, mate. No, not basically in the town. It is 100% in the town. There's a middle school right there. There's a housing development. There's a city park just over the ridge. There's a Taco Bell and a Smith's grocery store right there. Medical building. We're smack dab in the middle of St. George, Utah. This is urban paleontology. Or at least suburban. I'd say urban. It's urban by Utah standards. Yeah. Let me go get some water real quick, and then we'll go take a look around the quarry. And I think La Brea. There you go, Jim. Yeah, it does in a way remind me of the tar pits at La Brea. That's literally in the middle of Los Angeles. Like Wilshire Boulevard runs right next to the pit. This is just like that. And just like La Brea, this has the potential to be a world-class tourist destination. There are, I think, hundreds of thousands of people that visit La Brea every year, and that's a major draw. Like the city ends up making a lot of money on that. People go to Los Angeles just to go to La Brea. That's what I did this past fall. I was there in September, did a live stream from there, and I wouldn't have stopped there if it weren't for La Brea. St. George has the potential to bring all kinds of, tourists in if these sites are protected, if they're cared for, if, we've got the ability to build new museum facilities and stuff and showcase these fossils, get them published. Think about how cool it could be if this were to be expanded. Think about the opportunities for Utah kids to be able to learn about paleontology coming here. Say there were, in the state curriculum, it's like, in 5th grade, Utah kids, they come to St. George, they visit the museum, they get to participate in a live fossil dig. Think about the impact that could have. Think about all of the future scientists, doctors, engineers, inventors, that, people Think about all the kids that would go on to have like a knowledge career after being inspired going to a site like this. We know from surveys and stuff that that's one of the biggest influences on kids, you know, going into knowledge fields is museums and documentaries and things like that, especially related to paleontology. Think about the potential for that here, you know? It'd be such a boon for the state. Already, that museum is, I don't know how many field trips go through there every year. It's a lot. And that's already had a big impact, not just on the local community, but on kids across the state. And in other states too. Las Vegas is just a few hours that way. I'll be driving through there this afternoon. That's a major metropolitan area. And they've got an incredible fossil site here. Think about how that can inspire kids to go into science or just fall in love with learning in general, you know? Yeah. So yeah. MLF says that would have been amazing to actually dig fossils as a 12-year-old? Absolutely. Yeah. I have friends and colleagues who, you know, grew up in Utah and just by chance they got to participate in a fossil dig just because, like, oh, their parents heard about it and they thought that'd be cool to go visit on a Saturday. And that's how they got hooked on paleontology. Yeah. Being able to come out here and participate, that's impactful, you know? Makes a big difference. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. That's why the site is so special. And Jim says all the kids in Vegas visit the site at some point. Is that true? Holy cow. If so, then that impact is tremendous. Think how many kids there are in Las Vegas. That's by far the biggest city in all of Nevada. I mean, that's amazing. And Scorch Hellfire says, in my opinion, the city growing so much, because St. George is like the fastest growing town in the whole region. One of the fastest growing towns in the United States at the moment. It's even more reason to preserve the site for the increasing number of people in the area to enjoy and learn from, not to mention all the tourist dollars that go back into funding more city building. Exactly. That's why I'm really hoping that we can work something out with the city. If that electrical substation absolutely has to be built here, then I understand. But if there's any chance at all that it could be moved to a site that's not a world-class fossil locality, if they don't have to pave paradise and put up a parking lot, I get it. Parking is important. Electricity is important. I understand that. I use electricity. I drive an automobile. It's parked right over there. I get it. But that's not why I came here. I came here for the fossils. And if we want to preserve what makes St. George such an incredible place, maybe that means finding a new spot for that electrical substation. It's my 2 cents. I don't know. Let me drink some water and we'll go take a look around the quarry. Where did I put my water bottle? I wonder if it's inside here. It is not. Okay. I'm gonna have to wait to drink some water. But we're not gonna be streaming for too much longer. So don't worry, I'm not gonna die of dehydration here. And cannot visit the site without parking. That's true, Jim. Yeah. And JTL says, is the productivity of that dig unique for the area? If the substation was moved a half mile away, would they find similar stuff? Not like this, it seems. Yeah. There are of cool fossils all over St. George. Last week, and when I was here a few weeks ago too, and talking with people like Andrew who know these put an electrical substation. It's just, does the city have the wherewithal to do it? I hope so, you know? I'm sure there's a lot. I can figure something out. And there's a huge community of folks who would jump in to help out with that too. If the city were to try, I'm sure. Yeah. Anywho, let's go take a look around. Check on that shark spine as well, after it's had some glue on it. Here we've got some fossil fish inside of these jackets here. So these are just ready to be capped, and then they can be taken back to the museum. So they can be opened up by preparators and cleaned. Yeah, and this is what Hunter's working on right now, actually. Paring down one of these jackets.
Yep.
Yeah. About how thin do you think you're going to make that before it's ready?
Maybe slightly thinner. I think
Okay.
I'm kind of at the end of it.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to do much more on it.
It looks pretty carryable already, so yeah.
I think it's pretty good. This was going to probably even it out just to make myself happy.
Nice, yeah.
Make it nice, smooth surface, I guess.
It's important to have pride in your work. Nice. Hunter works here at the museum, and he's been helping direct volunteers, and busy guy. And Jazzy Cat says, did the container arrive for storage? No, we haven't heard anything about that for a while. It looks like, for the time being at least, that's fallen through. So fingers crossed something happens, but we are really in, that's kind of our number one need at this point, is having a place to store a lot of these jackets. Because the museum over there is not a huge facility, and we're really running out of space. So if anybody happens to have a lead on getting a big shipping container, if anybody knows anyone in the region who has a shipping container they'd be willing to donate, that would be absolute godsend. So yeah. And it was definitely chilly this morning, Trek Nerd, but it's warming up. Yeah, nice and sunny today. I was gonna say not a cloud in the sky, but I can see some just over the horizon. But apart from that, beautiful, bright blue sunny day. The sky is bright and blue. It is a sunny day. Yeah. Let's check in on that hybodont shark spine. Mind, Connor, if we take a look at the spine there? Excellent. Oh, it looks so much prettier with the glue on it. Look at that. Gorgeous. Yeah. Really, really. Talking about this with Andrew. Yeah, if this is well preserved enough, we might even be able to see like the little barbs at the end, which would be really, really cool. So, yeah, and again, for anybody just joining us live, that is the spine of a hybodont shark. So these are freshwater sharks, just little guys who are swimming around here, eating crustaceans, we think. And they have these cool spines right there at the front of the dorsal fin. So the anterior and posterior dorsal fins have got these spines there. Probably like an anti-predator sort of thing, a defensive measure. Prevent these guys from just getting completely eaten by all the other critters around. Like for instance our big theropod dinosaurs that we know were here from the fins. Yeah. Cool stuff. That seems to be the find of the day so far, but day is far from over. Let's hope we get some other stuff too. And petting sharks are cool, says Mr. Rules. Yeah. Maybe the spine, though, if you happen to go back to the earliest Jurassic period. And basal most Jurassic, there you go, Jim, yeah. Yeah, so let me clamber up this hill and do a quick little repeat, talk about the site for anybody who's just waltzed in. This is rock that was laid down at the bottom of an ancient lake 200 million years ago. Huge freshwater lake here, spanning from southern Utah into northern Arizona. This is like a Lake Erie-sized lake here that today we call Lake Whitmore. So this is mud that was laid down at the bottom of Lake Whitmore, hence all of the fish, the invertebrate burrows, the swim tracks from dinosaurs, all that good stuff. Yeah, enormous freshwater lake 200 million years ago from the very, very beginning of the Jurassic period. Because again, the history of life on Earth is long and fascinating and full of all kinds of cool stories. Neat little graphical representation to help orient you just a little bit. 4.6 billion years. This is not to scale. Just a neat little cartoon here by Ray Troll. So up here at the top is the present. We got pick 'em up trucks. We got paleontologists. We got dogs and jackalopes. This is the end of the Cenozoic. We're not the end. We're still in the Cenozoic. It's going. The Mesozoic is the age of dinosaurs. Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous periods. So right here represents the Jurassic period. So dinosaurs first evolved in the Triassic. Dinosaurs were just one group among a whole bunch of other groups of reptiles and ancient mammal ancestors and things like that. Dinosaurs were part of this big ensemble cast of big weird critters during the Triassic. Then at the end of the Triassic period, there is a mass extinction event. Dinosaurs survive that, and then after that, the world is their oyster. They take over. It's the true, beginning of dinosaur dominance at the very beginning of the Jurassic, and that's where these rocks are from. So, here. Most of you in chat hopefully have heard of mass extinction events. That's when something goes wrong on our planet and a huge number of species just go extinct. They completely disappear. Those are rough times to be an Earthling. And, we've got 5 spikes in extinction over Earth history. Is Earth recovering after one of these mass extinction events? So this is the Triassic-Jurassic extinction event right there at the boundary. According to this graph, take these numbers with a grain of salt because they're just kind of rough estimates. About 80% of species on Earth died out, 47% of genera, 23% of all the families of different plants and animals go extinct at the Triassic-Jurassic boundary. So one of the big extinction events in Earth history, probably caused by massive volcanism, just unfathomable amounts of magma being erupted. Or I guess it would be lava if it's above the Earth's surface. Just tons of greenhouse gases pumped into the atmosphere. The Earth warmed really rapidly and critters just couldn't adapt. They died out. It was a bad time to be here on our planet. But this is what allowed the dinosaurs to really take over. If we want to understand mass extinctions that occur because of rapid global warming, like what's happening right now on our planet, if we want to understand what that means, you got to study stuff like this, What's the old phrase, you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been? Or maybe hindsight is 20/20? Paleontology can give us that 20/20 vision. It can give us that hindsight. It can give us the wisdom to understand what's happened in Earth's past so that we can understand the present better and hopefully predict the future. one of the reasons why this site is so incredibly important, because it records that pivotal time in Earth history. If we want to know who died out versus who survived, if we want to be able to see patterns there, the victims versus the survivors, you got to study sites like this that are right there at the boundary, just after the extinction event. Tells us who survived and thrived afterward. So if we have any hope of, surviving for much as human beings, it'll pay to learn from the past so that we can prepare for the future. It allows us to understand the past and be able to build a better future. That's my pitch, why this is so important. Anywho, yeah. We've got 457 people watching right now. I'm grateful for your viewership. Yeah. And Jim says the Cambrian period included several severe extinctions. Yeah. Shoot, as did the end of the Jurassic, Cretaceous, and yeah. That's one of the major themes in the history of life on Earth, is things are growing great for a while, ecosystems are thriving, you've got all of these species doing their thing and cladogenesis occurring, new species evolving, and then suddenly something happens and just messes everything up. And you just get species going extinct left and right. You have these catastrophes periodically through Earth history. Understanding those it's one of the as paleontologists. Without fossil science, we wouldn't have any idea about this, We would be blissfully ignorant of all that. It's fossil science that gives us that perspective. And that perspective is hard won. This is not necessarily easy work. And it's not quick work either. It's slow going, it's meticulous, it's time consuming. And it's going to get more difficult here as the weeks go on, because it's going to get hotter and hotter. And it's going to be a little bit less pleasant to dig here. We're very lucky today. Beautiful day. But the point is, that understanding of the ancient past is not something that happens overnight. It's taken a couple hundred years of intensive study of the fossil record to get where we are now. We have so much further to go. There's so much left to be discovered, and those discoveries are happening right here, right now, in real time. Extinctions are a major driver of evolution, says Paleo Jim, but not any fun to witness. Yeah, or to experience firsthand. I don't want to be on the receiving end of an extinction event. Yowza. Yeah. Oh, and Mama's here. Hello. That is my mother there in the chat. Paleo Mom 357. How you doing, Mom? I hope things are... I'm going to be heading back to California this afternoon. So we'll take maybe another couple of these fossils, and then we'll think about wrapping things up here. And I had to go... Yeah. Yeah, and Fine Pine Carving. Hey, thank you for the raid. Radical Fine Pine Raid. Welcome, raiders, to Paleontologizing. Real brief intro. Welcome to our emergency fossil dig site. Literally in the middle of St. George, Utah. So here's our fossil site. There's a housing development. There's a middle school. There's a Taco Bell over there. And there's the St. George Dinosaur Discovery Site Museum. I've been camping here for the past 5 days or so. I just took down my tent this morning. It was right up there. And I'm here trying to draw attention to this project, trying to help out with the excavation however I can. Couldn't really do that this morning because I was packing up all my stuff. But, interviewing the paleontologists and the volunteers here, showing people not just what fossil science is like in the field, but also trying to explain these concepts and trying to encourage people to contribute, to donate funds if they can, to buy items off the wish list, to come here and volunteer in person like a number of good folks have done. We've got members of Paleontologizing chat here in the quarry right now, which is so cool. They're making a real difference. The Paleontologizing community has made a real difference here, and I'm so proud to have played a part in that. So yeah. Fine Pine Carving, thank you for the raid. I hope your stream was excellent. It's good to have you here. Welcome. All right, let's go take a look around and see what else we got going on. Anything over here?
Oh,
Still looking,
pieces of them.
Pieces of them?
Oh yeah.
Nice. Got a few scales here and there.
Yeah, just some like concretions and stuff. I took my other box over there. He's got a bunch. He got
Oh yeah, look at
or
those.
something right there, just barely.
That's exciting. That does look like a bit of bone.
And he found both sides of it.
Yeah, part and counterpart. Nice. That could even be like a fin spine or something.
Yeah.
From one of these.
It's just been nodes I've been finding.
Yeah.
I've been finding scales.
Nice.
Little baby bones or little.
But yeah, that layer under there where the other fish is.
Yeah.
We just found that the other day, and we didn't realize we should be digging so deep. We thought this area was just really sparse, but you know, the stuff might be there if you go just a little bit deeper. So
Yeah,
exciting.
I'm just kind of like trying to work back on the layers and clean and.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Could be like bone. Maybe.
Oh.
There's a shiny scale there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of little things everywhere.
Nice.
That's why it takes me so long because I don't want to mess anything up. So I'm like, oh, is that something? And usually Andrew's just like, no, you're good. Just take it out. But you never know. Oh, look at all the little crystal.
Some gypsum or something going on
it's
there?
like little needles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Everybody just joining us. This is Halle Berry from Paleontologizing chat.
Hello.
Just got to help in person, which is awesome. Thank you again for doing this. Pretty darn cool.
I know. I love it.
And I hope you're enjoying it too. This is, you never know what you're going to find out here.
No, I could do this the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I don't think about anything else. All I think about is this.
Yeah.
You know, so I think about the worries of the world. It's great.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Well, then, you know, creatures that are so old.
200 million years old, and
My brain doesn't even compute that.
yeah,
It really
it's hard to
doesn't.
fathom.
Like, I know it's a lot.
Yeah. And then knowing that you're the first living thing that's seen this in 200 million years.
So cool.
There's no feeling like that.
I know.
Yeah.
It may be hot, but you know, it's not too bad today.
Yeah, we got pretty lucky today.
Yeah, I wish there was more of a breeze, but
Yeah. Maybe later.
yeah, we're just in a bowl.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's what we want.
Those things.
Excellent. Yeah, so those kind of reddish stains there often indicate some sort of organic thing. Could be, dead fish. Could be, well, obviously a dead fish. It's 200 million years old. But you know what I mean. Yeah. Awesome. Keep up the good work.
Heck yeah, thank you.
Very cool. And Phoenix the archaeologist wants to know, does the color of fossils depend on the sediments it laid around in? Are they all reddish brownish? No, it is very much dependent on what's the surrounding lithology. So like, what are the minerals that are around as these things are deposited? And we'll actually see that there'll be kind of a reddish halo around some of this stuff in the fish layer here. So kind of this reddish stain like that. That's often an indicator that there's maybe a fossil fish or something underneath. So yeah, in this bluish layer, you get a red halo around. But then in the red upper layers, you often get a bluish halo around it. So some of the Lesotho teeth, these shark teeth, they have been kind of surrounded by this faint blue halo. Sometimes it's a really stark blue halo around them. So yeah, it's all dependent on like, what are the minerals doing in that particular layer? And so the fishes have a lot of iron in the blood. Yes, indeed, Phoenix the archaeologist. Yeah. Dropping in from the Grove. Thank you, Kia Ada. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Sounds like you're in the right place. Welcome, welcome. Good stuff.
I've got a second hypodont spine.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. More shark spines. Awesome.
I just got it a minute ago.
Oh, yeah.
So I pulled up this piece, and there was the half there.
Yeah, the counterpart there.
So Andrew
and
came
there it is
over
there,
and
right?
was looking, and we're stuck in right there, and it looks like it goes back further. Now he wasn't sure if it was a hypodont spine or not, but it's looking that way.
It is,
We're not saying anything for sure, but I mean, it looks like it.
It really does. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
So yeah, there you go.
Get
So
some
I'll
glue
put
on
the
that
glue
and
on now.
pretty neat.
Yeah,
the stuff is in here. Yeah.
Day 4, I got something interesting.
Very nice. Well done.
I've got 3 of their teeth.
Oh, nice.
previously,
Okay.
So it's like I was
Cool.
building up to this.
Yeah. How's it feel having found that right now?
Pretty good.
You're the first living thing that's seen that in 200 million years.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's exciting.
Very cool. So just putting some consolidant glue on that real quick. Yeah. Nice.
And he said the more the merrier, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be stingy with it. Yeah. Yeah. So again, for anybody just joining us, what we're talking about here is a hypodont shark. They're these really cool freshwater sharks that were swimming around in this ancient lake. There we go. Like this. And so when we say a spine from these guys, what we're talking about are these almost quill-like spines, spike-like things at the front of each of the dorsal fins. So anterior and posterior dorsal fins. You've got those spines there. Think of it almost like the quill on a porcupine, except it didn't detach. It's very much attached to the end. But it's a defensive mechanism to keep these guys from getting eaten by predators left and right. That's one of the parts of the shark that preserves the easiest because, you know, like just about all sharks that I'm aware of, these guys had skeletons that were made of cartilage. And cartilage isn't very good at fossilizing. You know, you have to have exquisite preservation, really, really specific conditions to preserve cartilage really well. But those spines were made of bone with enamel over the top. So it's almost like a big, you know, super pointy tooth sticking out of the back of this shark. You can think of it like that. And so that's, you know, some of our best evidence that these sharks were swimming around here is those spines and then the teeth from these sharks too. We don't have anything close to a complete skeleton, but you can compare those teeth and those spines to other fossil sites around the world where you do have complete skeletons. There's places in Germany where they've got, you know, sharks that are preserved that are pristine. They even have soft tissue preserved. We don't have preservation here, but frankly, these might be like more important in a sense because they're from the Triassic-Jurassic boundary. They're from the earliest part of the Jurassic period, and that's really exciting. So yeah, there you go. So it's our second hypodont spine of the day. Really exciting. Yeah. Super neat. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And we are creeping up toward 1 p.m. here. I've got to go get on the road pretty soon. About wrapping this up before too long here. I also got to make sure that I give an update to Katie on her fossil fish. She was texting me about that earlier. And so, let's see if we can take a look.
30s to 50s mostly.
Let's see here. I think that was it this one? I think it might have been. Yeah. Let's see. Alright. And I'm trying to make it home tonight. I've got a hotel for tonight, Ken. I'm gonna do half of the drive today and then half of the drive tomorrow. Gonna try and be a little leisurely about it. Not push myself too hard. Yeah. And And Kiara says, query, this is not the first time I've seen glue used when collecting fossils. One collector commented that it creates extra work. Oh, no. That glue saves us a tremendous amount of work. A lot of what we do would not be possible without that kind of consolidant glue like that. A lot of these fossils would not be collectible without glue. This kind of glue here is polyvinyl acetate glue. And so this is, it's a plastic compound called paraloid B72. We dissolve it in acetone, which is like nail polish remover. So it's really thin. We use an eyedropper to apply it to the fossil and to the surrounding rock. And that consolidates everything. It keeps it from crumbling. And then if you ever need to undo it, it's super simple. You just apply some more acetone and it redissolves. So it's fully reversible. That's why we do it. Yeah. So it saves us a tremendous amount of time. It saves the fossils. This work would not be possible if it weren't for that kind of glue, you know? Does that make sense? Yeah. Charlie's Dragon says it creates extra work by creating extra fossils that make it to the museum. Exactly, yeah. Now, I suppose it would save us a lot of time to not have glue because we'd have to just be throwing these fossils away. That's a good way to think about it. Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow. Yeah, let's take another spin around here and then I'll think about wrapping this up. Yeah. Ken says mudstone explosion. Exactly. Yeah. Often we had this happen yesterday where you get some rain in here and then this stuff gets saturated with water and it just kind of falls apart. Parts of the rock start to swell. It's tricky. In fact, maybe we can ask Jeff about that real quick, being kind of our resident expert sedimentologist here. Would you call yourself a sedimentologist?
I do a little bit of sedimentology.
Yeah.
Sedimentology and stratigraphy.
So we just had some questions about like glue and how it can be used to preserve these things, and then what happens also when this gets rained on. What chemically is going on when this starts swelling, when it gets wet?
Probably most of what's just happening is that the fine grained sediments, the mudstones, are just absorbing water. These mudstones seem to me to be especially bentonitic, and bentonite is a type of mudstone that usually indicates like there's a lot of volcanic ash moving into the area. We know that the Triassic before this time was a pretty volcanic time when a lot of volcanic ash was being deposited across the area. So the late Triassic mudstones, which occur below these strata, are very bentonitic and have a tendency to swell when they get wet. I don't see as much of that with this stuff, and this is supposed to be a time when the volcanic arc is relatively quiet, so there's not as much volcanic material coming in here. But they can. And when they do, they expand, and then they dry out and they shrink again, and that creates this kind of cracking that you see,
right?
Especially with these upper layers here. There's always that risk when you have exposed sediments that when they get wetted, they can start to deteriorate like that. But yeah, probably mostly it's just water absorption.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. While I've got you on camera, and for anybody who's new here, can you help explain why this is such an important site from your perspective? Because you've mostly worked in the Triassic.
Yeah. So the Triassic before this is of course, at a time of major evolutionary experimentation and radiation, because the Triassic period comes right after the Permian extinction, which is the biggest extinction in the history of life.
Yeah.
And anytime you get a mass extinction, it's a huge evolutionary explosion, and the Permian extinction was the biggest extinction in the history of life, so you get major radiation.
Yeah.
But then the Triassic uniquely also has a mass extinction, not just at the beginning of the period, but at the end.
Right.
So a lot of that diversity is actually destroyed at the end of the period. So as a result, the Triassic fauna is kind of like uniquely weird, because you get a lot of groups evolving in the Triassic that go on to later success later in the Mesozoic, but you also get a lot of these really weird evolutionary experiments that don't last outside the period. So it's a very distinctive and unique fauna. What's important about the end Triassic extinction is that it strongly modernizes ecosystems around the world, because again, you're destroying a lot of these strange Triassic experiments. You're destroying a lot of groups that survived from the Permian that are kind of these older sort of archaic groups, and what you're left with is a much more modernized ecosystem, because you have especially with the small animals, you got things like crocodiles showing up, you got frogs, salamanders, small mammals, lizards, and all of these groups originally evolved in the Triassic, but there are also a lot of other really strange reptiles and amphibians that have been eliminated. So overall, things are much more modern in appearance. And then you also have the big animal fauna being dominated by dinosaurs, whereas before in the Triassic, dinosaurs were just one group of large animal that were coexisting with many other types of creatures, especially big reptiles related to crocodilians, and a few other types of big animals were around at the time, but in the Jurassic, dinosaurs have fully taken over. So this area here, these strata in the Moai formation, the beginning of that more modernized ecosystem. And so we're basically getting a look here at the beginning of the age of dinosaurs. This is when dinosaurs really were taking over as a dominant land animal. And certainly, especially here in the western U.S., dinosaurs are getting a lot bigger than they were in the Triassic. If you were to visit this area during the Triassic period, the biggest dinosaurs you would see would be these little meat eaters about the size of a dog. But but you can see very clearly both the skeletal remains and in the fossil tracks that we see that meat-eating dinosaurs grow enormously in size across the Triassic-Jurassic boundary. You finally start getting big, bear-sized carnivorous dinosaurs. They're not nearly as big as they will be later, but they're certainly big compared to the Triassic. And you also get the first evidence of big, long sauropod dinosaurs. The big, long-necked, long-tailed dinosaurs show up in the Jurassic as well. And so a lot of changes are happening at this time.
Nice.
So this site is one of the richest sites known for this kind of early phase in the Jurassic. So it's a very interesting locality, not just because of its age, but because of the diversity of stuff you have here. We got the scrappy remains of meat-eating dinosaurs. We got fish. We got plants. We got all kinds of stuff. So we're really seeing how this ecosystem was kind of put together here.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah. Would you mind introducing yourself real quick, too, to anybody who might be new?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I'm Jeff Martz. I'm the curator of paleontology at the Museum of Texas Tech. And I'm just down here for a few days to help Andrew work the site. So it's pretty neat to be able to dig in these rocks, because we don't really have any Jurassic in Texas.
Yeah.
The Jurassic has been pretty much totally removed by unconformities, and we basically have the Cretaceous sitting right on top of the Triassic. So it's kind of neat to see rocks of this age and get to dig in them a little bit.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Yeah. Cool.
I'm going to ask you a question now.
Nice. Yeah. No, and I want to echo that too. I've never really gotten to work in the Jurassic very much, so this has been really special for me too. Really neat. Yeah, this is it's been quite the opportunity. And yeah, fellow Texan, there you go, Lenina. Stummer says, why was the Jurassic removed in Texas? It's not so much that it was removed, but you at that time. So an unconformity is like a gap in the rock record. So for whatever reason, you just didn't have rocks being laid down in that part of the world during that time. So the reason why we have rocks here from the early Jurassic is that, well, during this time, there's this big lake and you had sediment coming in and being deposited and burying different critters and yeah. But that only happens when you have deposition. So what that tells us is that during the Jurassic period in Texas, it went from a depositional environment during the Triassic to an erosional environment during the Jurassic. From the Triassic to the Jurassic, it went from depositional to erosional. So rather than rock being laid down, you had rock being eroded away instead. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's how we get these like gaps in the rock record. And that's why it's so important to study these things carefully. There's nowhere on this planet that you've got an unbroken record from, the beginning of Earth history until the present. There's no place on Earth that's been a depositional environment for that entire time that I'm aware of. So you got to kind of go to different areas in order to get a complete picture, put all those puzzle pieces together in order to figure out the whole history of our planet. You know? Yeah. Marine strata eroded away in North Texas. There you go, Jim. Yeah. So there must have been some deposition going on in certain areas, but it got eroded away, like Jim was saying. Yeah. But it is present in southeast Colorado and Oklahoma. Yeah, that Morrison stuff in Oklahoma. Yeah, all these gargantuan sauropods and stuff. A lot more work is needed on those, right? Yeah. Anywho. And ask about Eagle Craig's phytosaur, please. Oh, ask Jeff Martz about that? Okay. We can do that. Here, Jeff, I think we got a question from Jim Kirkland, actually.
Yeah.
Not sure what this means, but hopefully you will.
Okay.
Ask about, what was it? Eagle Craig's phytosaur.
Eagle Craig's phytosaur.
Yeah.
Is that the one from Zion?
I don't know.
Is that the if he's talking? I can't remember the name of the locality, but if he's talking about the one where there's a cast and like when you go into the Dinosaur Discovery Center, so that's a really interesting skull. Phytosaurs are these really interesting group of reptiles you have in the Triassic. Independently evolving to look like crocodilians.
Yeah.
So these big dinosaurs are also cool because there's a really beautiful series of transitional forms where you see them basically evolving from sort of like more normal looking reptiles into increasingly derived forms. And they're so abundant that they can actually be used for biostratigraphy. So we divide up upper Triassic strata based on different evolutionary grades of phytosaurs, basically. And in the Dockham group in Texas, we have some of the oldest and most primitive phytosaurs in North America, and you also have that very primitive grade of phytosaur in Upper Triassic sediments in Wyoming. But in the Chinle Formation, as you have in the Colorado Plateau, including in southern Utah here, we don't have those oldest, most primitive phytosaur grades. There's sediments low in the Chinle Formation, which are the right age. Don't really know what's going on down there. And then the oldest phytosaurs you have are a slightly more advanced type, Zasuchus or Smilosuchus grade phytosaurs. But there is a skull that was discovered, a really beautiful, nearly complete skull that was found near Zion National Park, very low, pretty low in the Chinle Formation. That's been prepared. I think it's at the Utah Natural. But they have a really nice cast of it on display over here in the Dinosaur Discovery Center. And it's interesting because it looks like it's sort of that slightly higher evolutionary grade. In most reptiles, there's a pair of openings on the roof of the skull, what are called the supratemporal fenestrae, and that's normal for reptiles. But in advanced phytosaurs, those kind of get pushed in and depressed and kind of shoved into the back of the head a little bit.
Weird.
And this is a grade that is just beginning to show that depression, and that's the sort of Leptosuchus, Smilosuchus grade.
Okay.
The really primitive ones just have them sitting on the skull roof like normal reptiles.
Sure.
And this one has them partly depressed, so it looks kind of Leptosuchus-y. But the external nares, to me, the nostrils, also look like they're kind of far forward. So in most phytosaurs, the nostrils are really weird because they're like shoved up like right in front of the eye, almost like the blowhole of a whale.
Yeah.
But in the really primitive ones, they're a bit further forward down the snout. And these kind of look like they're sort of in between.
Nice,
So it might be something kind of transitional between like Leptosuchus and a slightly more primitive form called Angistorhinus. It looks like a little bit of a mixture of both to me. But it would really have to be described in detail to tell.
Gotcha.
But it's a pretty interesting skull, and it's a very important skull. It's the oldest nice phytosaur skull known from the Chinle Formation.
Very cool. Yeah. And we did interpret that correctly. Jim says, yeah, that's what I was asking about. This has become the fossil mascot for Zion.
Oh, yeah?
So,
it is a nice skull.
Reason to be proud. He said you measured the section for that, too?
Yeah, I measured. So we did a 2015 report where we did the stratigraphy for Zion, plotted all the fossil localities, and I measured all the sections. And
Nice.
kind of worked on the stratigraphy a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's from pretty low down there. So yeah, it's a very important skull. The only other really localities that I know of are in Red Canyon, and that's mostly pretty chewed up, so I don't think much of that is identifiable.
Yeah.
There's also a site up there called Blue Lizard Mine, which has produced some things like the Doswellids, which are these other little sort of crocodile-like reptiles that were around in the Triassic. But yeah, not a lot of really good fossil sites in the lower Chinle, so anything that's found down there is pretty important.
Nice. Cool. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. You're a fountain of knowledge. We really appreciate it. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Hopefully that answered your question, Jim. And I hope that gives everybody a sense too for just how much there is to be learned here. People of all different specialties, different scientific interests, different levels of expertise and experience. It takes all kinds here. It's pretty cool. It's been wonderful being part of this for this week, and I was here a few weeks ago too. Share this with you, you know? Yeah. Anywho, T-Metrics, how are you doing? Hello, hello. What's shaking? Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Again, for anybody who's just joining us, we're here broadcasting live from the fossil quarry, the emergency fossil site here in St. George, Utah. We've got an incredible wealth of fossils that's coming out of here, over 700 specimens so far. And it's all hands on deck because this site is slated to be bulldozed in just a few weeks, we're told. The city of St. George is planning on building an electrical substation here on top of one of the best early Jurassic fossil sites in North America. So we're trying to do whatever we can to get this all excavated, salvage as many specimens as possible, do as much science as we can before you have the proverbial paving over paradise to put up a parking lot, you know? So I've been here trying to get people involved, and I've been really heartened to see some members of the paleontologizing community, people from Twitch chat, showed up here IRL in person. I hope you realize how special that is. People have been going AFK, away from keyboard, showing up IRL in real life, and helping us out here. We've got 3 or 4 people from Twitch chat here in the quarry right now as we speak. People who found out about this through these broadcasts, and I'm tremendously grateful for their help. They're, dropping everything and coming out here. Hopefully it's been really rewarding for them. I know it's really rewarding for me to see that, and to feel like I've helped make a difference here. Other members of this community who can't show up in person have been donating funds. They've been purchasing items off of the Amazon wish list, items that we need for the excavation here. There have been people who have been trying to spread the word about this on social media. There are moderators here in the chat who have been, helping make sure that everything goes smoothly while I'm doing these live streams out here. It's been a real community effort, and I am intensely grateful for all of that. Thank you. Yeah. Let's go talk with Andrew for a minute before I wrap this up, and we'll see if we can just do like a quick little thank you to everybody, because it's been extraordinary. My heart is full.
We're in the Monavi Formation.
Oh, this is the Monavi.
Yeah, we're in the uppermost Monavi.
And that's a red color too?
Yeah, all those greens and reds, yeah.
Can I kind of interrupt here for a second? I want to do like a little sign off, just express some gratitude to the community, including you, Halle Berry. Holy cow. Speaking of people who showed up IRL, that's an unusual thing, it might seem, for somebody on Twitch to do, but she did the thing. She's here, and that's pretty awesome. So thank you, and I hope you've been having a good time.
I have. I love it. Like I said, I wish I could do it 24/7.
Yeah.
Jobs.
Just the amount of support from this community has been extraordinary, and I don't know. I'm really, really grateful, and I know
The support on Twitch, you know, everybody.
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
Concerned and like, you know, they really want to help and donate and just try to find any way to help, and that's awesome.
and it's made a real difference too. It's not just good intentions; it's like real results on the ground, and
Yeah, and it wouldn't have happened without your live stream, probably.
some of it, yeah.
Absolutely.
Getting it
Danny.
out there is hard.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Big thanks to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And to everybody watching, I mean, holy cow, it's been. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the generosity of the viewers. Like, I wouldn't have this job. So yeah, it's pretty extraordinary. It really is. So, anyway, I'm gonna wrap up the broadcast, and then I gotta hit the road. So let's do that. But thank you again for all of your help, Andrew. Thank you for running yourself ragged,
I know.
doing all of this. It's
It's a way of life.
this guy is
Work
hardcore.
a day in your life,
Yeah.
right?
You know, it's
This
a
is
lot of hard
so.
work, and you know, Jaleesa and Hunter and other museum staff have been worried about me, but I love doing this.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
I love people with that much passion,
Yeah.
especially about this stuff.
And I do have
Yeah.
a lot of passion for this, and yeah, it's incredible. I appreciate all the help from everybody and all the donations. Looks like we're gonna have enough money to even get back in the field on other projects now.
Tremendous. Yeah, that we can roll this into other stuff too and
Yeah.
continue all this important work is that's amazing. So you all should be proud of yourselves. Watching everybody who's contributed, we're deeply grateful. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Halle Berry. This is it's been pretty awesome. Anyway, let's go wrap this up. Thanks again.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, it's after 1 p.m. I told myself I wouldn't let it go this late. I gotta go hit the road, everybody. And driving back to California today. It's been incredible. What a privilege to be able to do this. What a privilege to be able to share it with everybody. And there's bad stuff going on in the world. It means a lot to be able to contribute something positive. You know, it's been a real morale booster for me, and I'm hoping it has been for you too. Watching, I'm very, very grateful. Anyway, enough of my yammering on. Let's find somebody to raid here, and let's wrap this thing up. So let's see who's on right now. Ideally, we can find somebody else doing some science here on Twitch. All right. Let's see. I'm not used to raiding out on a Saturday. I don't really know who's on at the moment. So, you know what? Let's go right into Alveus Sanctuary. That'll be good. Let's see if my Twitch app will work. And it will not. Let's see if one of my... if my administrator here... Claire, are you on right now? You are. Excellent. Can you start a raid for us into... I'd really appreciate that. Yeah, we're gonna go see some live cams from an animal sanctuary, I think near Austin, Texas. Yeah, Maya Higa runs the place, and it's a really cool organization. If any of you folks are unfamiliar, you're in for a treat. We might even get a glimpse of Stompy, the emu, who is himself, of course, a living dinosaur, as all birds are, but emus are kind of in your face about it. They make it known, like, hey, I'm the descendant of theropod dinosaurs. So anyhow, we'll go do that. Thank you again, everybody. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you in just a few days back home in California. Take care. And bye-bye.